Hello, hello. Welcome to another stream where we try and create a React Native application from scratch. We will be creating a podcast app, and I started creating it in yesterday's stream, but I forgot to record it. I'm sorry about that. So today we're going to go over it again. I'm going to record this and put this up on YouTube as well and try and get that done. So, React Native, what's the first thing we need? The first thing we need is Node, right? Now do I have VLC open? Node. So let's see, what Node version do I have? I have 10.11. I'd like to get on the latest version. So the way to go about doing that is essentially, I use a version manager called N, which lets you manage multiple node versions. I need 10.11 for work, so I'm not going to override that installation. What I'm going to do is install N, and well, I have N, and I'm going to switch over to the latest version of Node. So doing that is very simple. You just do N latest, and it will automatically find what is the latest version of Node and install that. I don't want to get inside N. As you can see, my current version has been now set to 12.10.0. And now if I do, I've upgraded to the latest version of Node. So what else do we need? We need the React Native CLI to start working with React Native. Let's see how we can install that, getting started on the Facebook open source documentation. So there are two ways to go about this. You could either install Expo, which lets you run React Native applications like a snack where you don't have to install anything. Or what you could have is essentially something that builds to a native application. It's called ejecting in React Native terms, but essentially you don't have it running inside an emulator, but you have it as a proper application. So you need to install React Native CLI for that. So let me just copy this. You can go into this and do that. I probably have my I have the latest version of React Native CLI installed as well. As I said, we did all of this yesterday. I'm doing this again just for recordings purposes so that I can put this up on YouTube quickly. Cool. How do you start a new project? You go into so I have a project already. I'm going to create that again. Actually, let's just get rid of the old one. Bye. We're going to do all of this again. What is the recommended method? Essentially, you do. I have all of Android SDK and all of that installed, so that's not a problem. You do React Native init. Awesome project. Okay, so we're going to do React Native init podcast. While that is setting up, we should go check out how to run it on an emulator on the local device. I have downloaded and installed Android Studio already. What else do we need? We need we need to start a virtual device, it says. Okay, all right, so let's get that set up quickly. I'll reach my Android Studio section. And let me just start Studio up. Is my project ready? The project's ready as well. We can just go into podcast. So that's what your project looks like. Before we do anything, I'm gonna go set this up on GitHub so that you can see the code for this live. I already created this last night. There it is. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of this. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this. Where are you? Delete. Bye. Okay. I'm not sure I remember the password for this. Nope. That's not gonna work. Let LastPass do its thing. Oh, LastPass remembers. Good. Cool. Podcast live stream has been successfully deleted. We're gonna create a new repo. I'll call it podcast live stream as well. Live stream version of the open source podcast application. Now that we have that, we're going to set up the repo locally as well. So let me just get to podcast. Projects, live stream, podcast. There you are. And let's just create a new Git repository here. I'm using a tool called Magit, which is built into Emacs to set up the repository. Yes, please. And it wants me to it starts with in the beginning there was darkness. Sure. Let's just stage everything. Commit and call this setup initial React Native project. Yeah. And what else do we need? We need to push this to GitHub. So we need to add this as a repository, remote, this link as remote. So how do you remote in Emacs? There it is. It's called capital M. So we just do capital M, add, remote name is origin, and the URL is what GitHub gave us. Yes, please. That is our default push URL, and that is set up. It says origin master does not exist. It will once we push, and let that do its first push. While it's doing that, let me just start up Android Studio's AVD manager so that we get our, I have a Pixel 3 XL AVD ready to go, and let us just launch our Pixel on the side. I don't know if I can close this. Let me just move this out. I can close this for sure, and let's just resize a few windows. Cool. Can you see the whole app? Do I have to resize my face? I might have to. I'm going to move myself to the left. Okay. That looks better. Maybe. Or I could make this smaller. We'll figure that out. Doesn't matter. I'm all right on the left. Okay. What do we need? What do we need apart from that? It says once you have that ready, I can just get into the project and do React Native run Android. Let's do that. I'm already in the project, so let us build it for the first time. This takes time. The first time, it takes time to build the whole thing up, but after that, it gets faster. Let's go look at what our project structure looks like. So this is the directory. Let's have our emulator here as well. Why is it not on? We have to switch it on. Let me just uninstall the last podcast app that I built yesterday, because we're doing it again from scratch. Bye. Yes, please. Cool. So let's look at the project structure of our React Native project directory structure. So what we have is our entry point is called index.js, which essentially uses the app registry from React Native and our app and some configuration data from app.json, and then app registry.register component essentially renders the application on the screen. The whole application is just this one big ass function. So this just finished running, and what that red box means, and we all hate red boxes, is what that red box means essentially that we did not have a debug server running which shows what is happening, like our compiles our code and all of that, JavaScript code. So we got to do this. We got to tell, I think this should work. What this does is essentially starts the React Native JavaScript server, which the debug build can use. This should work. So if I click on reload, the debug compiler, Webpack compiler starts, Metro compiler starts, and it starts compiling a JavaScript code. And that shows up once it's ready on the application. I'm still too big, I think. I'm gonna make myself a little smaller and move myself to this corner. That's better. Where's my application? Where's my application, Lebowski? Come on. Let's just restart our application. It usually shows up. There you go. So this is what React Native starts with when you compile an initial project. It has like information on how to change the initial file and what all does it mean, like all the debug keys and all of that. For example, I can double tap R on my keyboard to do a reload of the application. Okay, so we are going to make a podcast app, right? And what does a podcast app have? Like at the most basic level, it has a music player section, right? Let's go check out a few podcast apps for reference. Just gonna make this smaller as well. It's too small. Let's check out a few podcast apps. Podcast app design ideas. Dribble is a good place to check out designs, you know what I mean? I want to see a podcast app, not a podcast itself. There you go. So it's something like this, right? Something that has like a nice big image and an artist's name, the podcast name. It has some information about how far into the podcast you are, something like this. You can fast forward and go back a few seconds. Oh, this seems like something that I could make easily. Something like this, a big ass artist picture, the podcast art, and the podcast name, the artist's name, how far into the podcast the person has been, and some buttons. Let's get that up and running first. Okay. So how is the project going to look? Tidy structure. Here's what I was thinking. I'm going to have a source folder, right? And inside the source folder, we're going to have the screens, which are like the big screens, like where you'll have the podcast discovery section, you'll have the podcast, the actual playing screen itself, and stuff like that. Yeah. So we'll have that. We'll also have a components directory where all the smaller components, like for example, the artist section you saw, that section will be a separate component, and we can keep that as components. So these two are enough for now, I think. Let's start creating with our first screen. It's going to be called play screen. Seems like a good idea. Is it? Play screen? Yeah, let's call it play screen.js. Okay, and let's set this up. Need to import React. And let's just return nothing. Okay. And we need to replace what is rendered by index. We can just go replace stuff inside app.js. Or not, app.js is huge. Never mind. I'm just gonna go import play screen from source screens play screen.js, and I'm gonna just say render play screen. Now if you go into the emulator and ask it to reload, that's it, because play screen has nothing. Let's put something on play screen, right? Let's start with a nice little hello world. There you go. We have hello world now. Everything else should be much faster. So, what all do we need on the screen? We need the artist's, the podcast image. We need the artist name and the podcast name. Let's start with that, right? Let's start with the most basic structure. So first things first, we're gonna ask the play screen to take the whole available space to it. Let's see if that happens at all. Let's give it a background color to see that it worked. Oh, one more thing that we should do is set it up to reload automatically. That worked. That's nice. Let me just open up Control M. Yes. We have to do enable ride reload, and we also have to do enable hot road reloading, because it's just nicer. You know what I mean? If I do blue here, it should just reload on its own. I don't have to like go and refresh anything. I like pink though. Let's make that pink. So prettier is messing with how I initially set this up. Prettier is this nice JavaScript code formatting tool that I set up to run on every save. But it's kind of deciding that what I have set up, what I have written down doesn't look nice enough, and it goes around messing that up, reformatting the whole buffer. But we're going to ignore that for now. I'll set up prettier on another stream. Yeah. The first thing, as I said, we need is an image smack dab in the middle of the screen, right? Like right about here. So let's do that. Let's first we need to import image. Yeah. And what does image look like? Let's go look at the documentation for React Native image. For network and data images, which is what we're going to do, we're going to specify dimensions of your image. Okay, got that. So you need to give dimensions in the style component, and then you can specify a URL. Cool. Let's just copy this. Hey. So width is going to be 200. These are arbitrary for now, just to set that up. And when you need images, the place I go to is Lorem Pixel. It gives you these nice Let's look at animals, or even better, cats. Some 720 by 720. Yeah. Yep. This seems like a good image to use. Come on. Cool. That looks good. That looks good, I think. Let's add the best podcast ever. That's the podcast title. And it's by... Who's your favorite podcast guy? I could just do CGP Grey, you know. I like them. Like Hello Internet. Hello Internet is the artist. Come on, refresh. It doesn't always work, you know. Can't complain too much about it. So what do we need? We need all this to be centered, right? So we'll just go justify content center and align items center to. That looks nice. We'd like to have a nice border radius to this, you know. That didn't work. Why didn't that work? Ah, the hot code reload doesn't always work. Don't blame me. What else do we need? We need a section that shows how much time has passed in this particular podcast, right? How do you do that? You can easily add a section for React Native has the slider thing built in, right? React Native slider. Oh, it has moved to a separate repository. It's a good and a bad thing, you know. Because it has moved to a separate thing, I'll have to rebuild the project. This is a usual case with libraries or components that use outside of React Native itself. You have to now rebuild the project whenever you do that. So let's just install this first. Where are you? Let's just kill the server because we'll have to start the server again anyway. It's not going to find the slider if we try and import it without rebuilding the whole project because it's a native change. We have to do this. It's going to go find React Native community slider component, download its dependencies and install that quickly, hopefully. Yep, it's restarting the app. And let's just restart the project as well. No, the JavaScript server as well. Okay, now we can import the slider. How do you import it? I keep forgetting to look at the documentation. You do this, cool. And then you use it like this. All right. Come on. Is this how it's going to be? You're going to make me restart every time? Every time I build? There it is. There's the slider. This should not be interactable, but we'll get around to that. The slider is going to have a text object that says how much time has passed, and another text object that says what is the total length of the whole thing. Yeah. Seems reasonable. Let's so this seems like a good time to, like, you know, start breaking up this whole screen into multiple components that you can use. Yeah. So the first thing that we'll break apart into components of its own is our little podcast info graphic. So let's go into components. I'm going to create a new file called podcast image. Podcast image.js is what we need. Import React from React. Const podcast image. Export default podcast image. Cool. What all will it get? It'll get image URL. It'll get podcast name, and it'll get artist name. We're going to have a nice little container for the whole thing. And we're going to import view from React Native. Just like content center, line item center. And let me just copy over things from play screen. You, and you. Come on. How come flycheck, which is Emacs's linter, thinks text is alright, but image is not? Where are you getting text from? Anyway. There you go. And we can just import, what's it called? Podcast image from components podcast image.js. That should work. Did? Yeah, it did. Okay, cool. So here's one more thing that we need to do, like as a practice. We should be moving our style objects into a separate file so that every time you render this component, this object is getting created again, you know? And that is not so nice for performance, and it also, like, you know, eats into your whole modularity thing. You shouldn't be touching a component to change its style. I mean, like, you should be able to reuse these styles everywhere. This style is not of this object, but a property that can be applied in all of the places you would like it to apply. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a new styles folder, and we're going to put podcast image styles.js here. React Native has a nice style sheet component that optimizes the whole style object. I'm going to use that to define the styles for this object. Let's just call this one container, and let's copy this boy. We call this styles container. Then next up we have image. Styles.image. What else do we need? We need the artist, the podcast name to be a lot bigger. Let's just call this styles. Title. Just define title here. Font size is 36 for now. And style start artist. Font size is 18. Okay, let's just save everything. And there you go. I'd like some padding between these guys, you know, padding top. Does it work? What's the point of hot code reload if it doesn't show up immediately, huh? Okay, cool. That seems like a good, nice amount of padding. It looks nice. I like it. You know, we still have to figure out what happens if the podcast name is like the 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 title of the podcast is huge. We should have some sort of like ticker functionality or something that just keeps scrolling, you know, like the names keep scrolling in this particular box. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Okay. It should be picking up the data from what we give it, the podcast image. So this URL can come with us. It's called image URL. Okay. What else was there? Podcast name. What else? Artist name. Cool. That works. As I said, we really should figure out what if the name was huge. You know, some podcasts out there have like really large names. Okay. The next thing we should like create is the whole slider thing. We should make that into a component in itself, which takes the total length of the podcast and the current time of the podcast, and then it should just figure out where to put the slider. You know what I mean? We need to like, where's our podcast image? We'll create another component here. It's gonna be time slider. But yes, I give really cool names. I know. It needs this guy, and let's just create a time slider. Again, it'll have its own nice little container. Like that. Let's just export. Okay. And current time and total time. That's what we need. Here's the other thing we need. We need to, like, the slider should expand to fill its parent. You know what I mean? Its width should be like 100%. And this guy should also be like 100%. See what that makes it, what it looks like. Yeah, that's what I want. We should be able to control the parent's width, and the slider should adjust automatically. Sorry about that. I have hotkeys set and I forgot about that. Cool. We should be setting this slider. We should be disabling it first, yes. We don't want this. The whole value of this thing is controlled from outside. And does it look disabled? We'll figure out the styling of the whole thing later. Okay. Let's just make it look like we want it to look. These two text boxes need to be on opposite sides of the whole thing. So flex direction is row, and justify content is space between. That'll push them apart like that. But they're getting out of the whole. The slider itself has some padding, it seems. You know what I mean? There's some padding right here and right here. I'll have to go check out what that is. But for now, let's just ask the text boxes, the time text boxes, to just come in a little. Don't you wish hot code reloading just worked sometimes? Yeah, that looks alright. That looks quite alright. Okay. What other things do we need? We need a play forward and reverse button, yes? Okay. We can do that. We can do that. Where's my Firefox? There you are. We need icons, right? We need play button icons. We can do that in the next stream. We can do that in the next stream. Let's just figure out how to create buttons. React Native buttons. There it is. Button component should render nicely on any platform. Build your own button using touchable opacity, touchable feedback. Or you can look at a wide variety of button components built by the community. Okay. Now these are buttons. But I get what you mean, React. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to just use the button that you gave us, put 3 of them together, and just call it a day. Okay. We're gonna go. Let's just bring in button from here. Button. What all does it have? Button. Title and on press. Okay. Title. Play. On press. Nope. Do nothing. Okay, we should move this out into a separate component as well. Let's just call that play controls.js. This is going to be minus 10 seconds. This is going to be play and plus 10 seconds. We'll replace these with icons once we install React Native vector icons. Once we get that running, we it's a design choice on what we need to really put and how we would like the buttons to look and all of that. I want to get a functional screen done today, and then we'll move on to the rest of the application soon. Okay. We need this guy to have a flex direction of row and justify contents space around. Export default controls. Import controls from Why did it not get spaced around? Do I have to like ask this to expand to its parent's width? You can do that. Or I know what I've done. There. You know what this boy needs? This boy needs some padding. That still looks off. Why does that look off? Does that look off to you? There's no padding top though. Not enough. Apparently. Oh, this is a huge screen. That makes sense. 16 is not enough. So we have, where are we right now? We have created a screen that has 3 components on it. Essentially, an object that shows what the podcast is, what it looks like, where we are in the current podcast, and play controls. We're just setting up the view today. Okay. What should we do? Like the last thing on this podcast, maybe on this on this stream. Should we just finish up what the slider does? You know, we can do that. That's easy to do actually. It's just playing around with like. We just should install moment.js to play around with that as well. You know what I mean? Let's do that. Time slider. It takes a current time and total time, right? So slider value is essentially current time upon total time between 0 to 1. You know what I mean? And let's get that slider value. The main thing that we need to do is convert current time, which is in seconds, and total time, which is in seconds, into something that's like readable. You know what I mean? So that's why I said we should probably install moment.js. Let's just do this for now. And where is our boy? Play screen. Yeah. Let's say current time was 20 seconds and total time was, the whole podcast is about 1 hour. So I don't want a 1 hour podcast. Let's do 6,000 seconds. Really? It's just prettier messing with me. you know. Why didn't that work? Why didn't our slider value change? What is the documentation for slider? What does it say? Slider disabled is what you've done. Why didn't it change? We gave it a value. Change it. Oh. Oh, maybe it didn't move at all. Huh. 20 by 6000 was nothing. So it looked like it didn't move at all. Okay. We shouldn't be showing 2000 seconds and 6000 seconds, right? So this is where a library like Moment.js really becomes helpful. Moment.js. And we need to install like something like, how to install it? npm install moment. That means I should be able to do yarn add moment. Does that work? That works. Cool. The slider can then import moment from moment. And what do we need to look at? Display. Just a seconds and minutes and seconds. ss. Right? Need to parse as well. Let's see if that works actually. Const time played is moment runtime dot. What does display again? Format. Okay. Format and then ss and total time. Come on. Let's see what that looks like. That is not true. Is it? 2000 seconds? And still not 4 seconds apart. What did I do wrong? Current time display and total time display. I probably didn't read the documentation properly. Oh, because it thinks those are milliseconds. Right? It doesn't think it's seconds. I need to tell it that it's reading seconds right now. It's not a string. It's just a number. That's what we need. Moment.unix number. That should work. So the problem right now is essentially moment thinks that we're giving it milliseconds when you and I think we're giving it seconds, which is what I think we'll eventually do as well. Oh, perfect. So we gave it 6,000 seconds, which is 10 minutes, and it's been 2,000 seconds, so it's been 320. That's nice. Once we get to like properly playing things and getting these things to work, we'll see these this work properly. It's going to look nice, I promise. Now, just as a cleanup, I'm going to move all of these bad boys into their own style components. Okay, and I see that we have like a lot of with 100% and justify center and all of that. What we should be doing, and this is like the last thing for today's podcast, is just keep saying podcast. Today's live stream is we're gonna move everything into a common section. Okay, we're gonna call this application styles. Yes. Okay, and let's call this centered container, and that's gonna have flex. No, justify content. What was this? Center align item center. Export default styles. That's that, and let's just create a section for styles of the screens as well. Play screen styles.js. I should also save this to a register. Did that work? Yeah. Maybe this as well. I'll do that. From styles is style sheet.create. I'm gonna save this to a register. This has a container style. And the container style essentially is just import app styles from config, application styles. Yeah. And this is going to be app styles.centered container. And what else did we have there? Just a good old little background color. Export default styles. Import styles here from styles play screen styles.js. This is going to be styles.container. Where else did we mess up? The play control styles, right? We need play control styles. Styles not play control container. Nothing changes, but it looks cleaner now. What other components did we have? We have time slider, right? All of these little style components can move into their own box. Time slider styles.js. Come on, we didn't save that. Really? I thought I did. Control I2. Let's do. I'm now confused. Yes, this is faster now. I thought I created a register, but apparently not. What does your container look like? Just that? Okay. What else? Slider style. Huh. See a new one. It does make sense to show time remaining. You're right. We could do that too. So on the right, you mean? Yeah. It's not a bad idea. I think I'm gonna do that. What's this called? Time slider styles. That's not a bad idea at all. Styles slider. So that's actually quite useful. That's essentially time left display, total time minus current time, and we do time left display. Let's move. This is going to be called time text. Yeah. And styles stuff. Time text. Oh no! What did I do? Who will export these? Of course, none of the styles showed up. Cool. So, did my math go wrong somewhere? That's total time minus current time. What did I? How? What? What? That's 10. And if you subtract them, total time minus current time, that should be like what? 8,000? No, what did I pass in? I passed in 6,000 and 2,000. That should be just 4,000. How is 4,000 36 minutes? I wonder what I did wrong. What did I do wrong here? You guys have any idea? You know what? Let's just see what it is. Let's just see. Just gotta see now. It is 4,000. Moment. How is 4,000 seconds 36 minutes? and 6,000 seconds is 10 minutes. Her moment. I am totally flummoxed. What the hell? Should I not be doing that? You know? It's a weird error to have. Wait. Let's go look at what moment has to say. Second since Unix app up. That doesn't matter. We need to display only. What is wrong here? Let's just put it back to total time. For now, I'll go read up on this before I do anything else. Yeah. Oh. I'll change this to time left. CNU. I'll do that. But I'm like out of ideas on why this would happen. Moment being moment, I tell you. That's that. And I think this is where we'll stop today. Okay? I'll create for tomorrow. I think what we're going to do is get React Native vector icons into this, and also make those play button. All the buttons look nice. You know, these buttons would have like, this one would be like a nice big play button. This would have like a reverse icon, that would have a forward icon. And we'll also set up React navigation into this. Okay. So that we can have a screen where you select a podcast and this where it plays. And the cool thing I want to implement in this, maybe day after, is have this whole thing go down like we saw in the design, I think. Did you see something like that in the design? Like this seems to be like a very common design amongst all music players, you know, and podcast apps, where you can just swipe down and the whole thing becomes something like this, like at the bottom, and you can like go explore if you want to listen to something else and do all of that. Okay. I see your comment, CNU, and that's very useful. Not absolute seconds. I see what you mean. But we'll do it next time. I'll have it ready to go. Okay. Cool. So for next time, we'll continue creating this. Okay. Bye-bye.